honors here mid-season. How big has the stretch been for him since the USC?
He did. What did he get?
Oscar Robertson.
Oh, he's on the watch list?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even see how my head's in the sand watching Indiana film. I didn't pay attention to the. He's played really well. That's an understatement, obviously, and he's done it in a pretty efficient way, and he's been pretty consistent. Other than not scoring at USC, which that's why this team is so good. We have other guys who can step up, and then when we have all parts clicking, we're a really, really good team. So for him to have that type of honor, great. That means eyes are on our program, and we're obviously winning games, so that's important too. But no, happy for John because he's been a delight to coach, and I've said that several times. That coming in as a sixth year, he could be coming in with all the answers, but he's completely the opposite. He's been really good to coach. He's been fun to be around. Asked really good questions. He doesn't have all the answers. He's very coachable, and I would say it's very refreshing. I got a whole locker room full of very coachable guys. That's why this has been so fun. We all have great relationships. They can push back. I can go with them, and at the end of the day, we're all on the same page. But John's been a big piece of our success. For him to come in and around us, it feels like he's been here 3 or 4 years. It's not like he's been here 6 months or whatever he's been. So happy for him that he's getting that recognition.
I'll watch the video if you answered this question already, but I'm curious with John Blackwell, the last couple of games, he's gotten into that first half foul trouble. Obviously not an ideal situation, but I guess I'm wondering from that, have you learned some things? I mean, have there been some
don't have silly fouls. The second one Saturday, I mean, just go pick up the ball regardless. Go get that ball. Don't let a ball roll. Whether you think you touched it last and it was going to be over and back or not, pick it up, because the longer you let it roll, the worse things could get, as we saw. So pick the ball up. We'll reset our defense if it's over and back, but never leave it to chance like that. And then, like I said, only bad things happen the farther it rolls. So that's lesson one. I mean, we've had that happen before. Klesmit let one roll and let them take the ball out of bounds, or they picked it up and shot a layup, and we're just educating them on maybe the simplicity of the game. If you pick the ball up, it helps us set our defense. I don't care if it's over and back. Don't give them a layup, and don't let them roll it all the way to the other end where they can run it out of bounds play to score. So just simple things like that. And then he's had a few. He didn't have offensive fouls Saturday, but he's had some of the push off stuff, which hopefully we've got cleaned up, that he doesn't do that anymore. But the one on the ball rolling on a tip pass, that's an easy fix. I mean, regardless whether there's a foul or not, we need to grab that ball and pick that up. So that's the lesson. That's a team-wide lesson for everybody.
Yeah, but also I guess I was wondering in terms of how you guys survive or handle not having him.
Yeah,
on
I mean, I think that's one of the strong suits of this team is the depth. We've seen that through the year. I thought Janicki, Amos, McGee, we had a stretch in there where maybe we weren't gaining ground, but I think we were playing with a lot of energy. I didn't think we came really ready to compete right out of the gate on Saturday, and that was the first time out when we were down 8-zip, was all about competing. And so we got that fire lit a little bit, but I thought the group of Janicki, McGee, Amos was out there at the time. Obviously Gilmore did some good things in the first half before he went on his spree in the second half, but we got some energy going and got our juices going a little bit with that group off the bench, and that sometimes we need that. Sometimes that's what the bench is there for. You have to add to our bucket and make us better when you come on the floor. And if some starters are sputtering a little bit, we're struggling, we don't have a rhythm, help us get in rhythm.
The difference between first and second half turnovers has been very stark in the last games. I guess what has been the adjustment there that you guys have improved?
Well, one of them is the loose ball that's a tip. There's one you can pick up on to simply get. We've had some charges in the first half. We had 2 at Maryland, I believe. Both Tanjay's fouls were offensive fouls. We've had a couple shot clock violations where I felt we could have shot the ball earlier in the possession, turned down really good shots. And then the decisions with the ball of not not moving it enough, not changing sides of the floor. I think we get into a rhythm as the game goes on, and we get a little more comfortable based on how a team is defending us, and then we, figure out it's better to move the ball and change sides of the floor, and then we aren't playing in as much traffic as what we do when we try to force things early in the game, drive the first side or the second side when the defense is loaded and gaps are plugged. Let's move the defense a little bit, distort it, and then get into our attack mode.
Even in the motion offense, are there things that early in the game you guys can do that are maybe predictable? Like, are you trying to force things into certain areas that maybe you favor?
No, that's what I'm talking about. Not doing that early in a possession. Not trying, especially against the better defensive teams, which we've seen a lot of them. Not trying to do it on the first side. Any offense that tries to crack a defense, a good defense, on the first side or the second side usually is in trouble because your rotations, you haven't forced rotations, you haven't gotten them in closeouts, you haven't spread the defense out, you haven't distorted it. So you usually end up driving into more hands, more gaps, more bodies, right? And there's a higher chance you're going to lose the ball when that happens. So moving the ball side to side, like I said, forcing the defense to play sideline to sideline, baseline out towards the top of the key, and then pick your moments and move and try to wear them down too. I think that's the other thing is, over the course of Saturday, I thought we were able to wear on them a little bit with our pace, and moving the ball does that. If you stand and dribble and pound it, defense doesn't have to work, don't have to get tired, don't draw fouls, all things that you don't want to have as an offensive team happen if you over dribble and don't move the ball. So when we move it, we're much better. Probably every team in the country is better when they move the ball.
Any memories of Max against the team you got coming on this floor?
No, not you just brought it up. I mean, I really don't live in the past or worry about that. I watched a little bit of our game down there last year. I haven't gotten to the fire alarm yet, but portion of the game, but I will. It's probably tonight. But we're so different than we were a year ago, just personnel and how we play, and other teams are different. They obviously are different with different pieces on the floor, and most teams are just in today's world, but you don't draw a lot, probably less than ever from previous year's tapes, just because we've changed so much. I watched some of us last year, and it makes me want to get near a garbage can. We just didn't move, and our pieces are better. We're more astute to play how we're playing with this group, and we've grown, we've matured, we've done a lot of good things. So, and everybody else has been different too. I don't think I've seen a roster that's been the same last year as it is this year. So it's hard to draw a lot of comparisons at times.
I probably wasn't. Max had that one.
Where you had a cooker. He went on a heater here. Yeah, I remember that.
I'm curious, as far as your schedule goes, you don't have any control of it, obviously, but has it been a while since you guys have had an off day just because of the way that? And what's that kind of been like? And you're kind of coming probably toward the end of that stretch if you can get through tomorrow.
Right. We've really been. This has been planning in advance of even the year, and specifically as we came into even before we went west. That how we were going to handle the time leading up to going out west, how we were going to handle those days. The return was really important, and then our turn to go right back to Maryland and then come back. So just being very proactive with how we're practicing, what we're doing, a lot of recovery time. Players have to be really disciplined with their sleep and their hydration and with their eating habits. So it's been, Jim Schneider really has led the charge on what to do, what day. We backed off some of the 2-day hard prep on the little lighter stuff. Hard today, but shorter. And we're in a point in time of the year too. We're in February, so it's back down time a little bit in terms of the volume. So, but the stretch probably forced us to really take a harder look at it and really plan for it, and not react after we've been on a trip or we've had X number of games in a row without days off, but knowing we're going to have a stretch coming here. And I think you get to this point in time of the year, less is best. You got to be fresh, and you got to try to be as healthy as possible.
So was it maybe the day after UCLA that you guys got a day off?
Yeah, we traveled that Wednesday, and then I believe we had that Thursday off too. So we used Wednesday as a travel day, which doesn't count as an off day. And then Thursday was our off day. So we haven't had an off day since that. So we'll get one after tomorrow night.
there's a certain aspect of this you can't control, but there's been some pretty big injuries around the Big Ten. I guess, is there anything that you guys are doing to?
Yeah, I don't know what other guys' injuries are, or what the, where's the root of it. When did it start? So you just have to, manage and be proactive with your team and your individuals, and really pay attention to what our people that are professionals in that world, specifically Coach Snyder and Brent, our trainer, of what that world has changed so much. I mean, we do so much testing and precautionary stuff, and just I think you're more aware of those things than ever. And you can't prevent injuries. Things can happen, but you're trying to do and use all the resources in your power to steer clear, or at least try to prevent as much as possible. So, but things happen, right? But you're aware of that, because you get to the point in time. Injuries usually happen, not all of them, but usually happen when you get to a fatigue state, right? And that's why how you practice, how long you practice, when you practice, all those things as you go through a season, because fatigue doesn't continues to build, and it's usually an accumulation effect. Then you have something more severe happen when you're in a fatigue state. So you can't prevent them all, and you can't avoid them all, but you have to be really aware of, and I think of being proactive as much as you can.
Okay, so we're in the middle of, you guys are about halfway through the regular season Big Ten stretch. Looking around the Big Ten, big storyline for the season has been your guys' kind of modernizing the offense. And I feel like I'm seeing that more around the Big Ten. Is the Big Ten still deserve the same reputation of physical play and physically intensive play? Has the Big Ten changed significantly?
No, I would say. I mean, it changes a little bit with with the rules adjustments and addendums and freedom of movement and things that have been tried to be applied nationally. I think, but in terms of the DNA of the league, it's still physical. I think that's why UCLA's had some success, is because I've always felt mixed teams specifically, and even when Ben Holland was at UCLA, I thought they always played like a Big Ten team, because they were really physical and they would grind you up and it wasn't maybe as common on the West Coast in the Pac-12 playing that way. Sean Miller had great success at Arizona by playing that way. Obviously, Dick and Tony at Washington State had success because it was just an outlier to the league of how they played. So I think the DNA of the league is still, you have to be physical. It shows when you're not. It shows when you are. And I think and you have to be able to do it within the confines of the rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to, it's not near as physical as it was, but it's still probably more physical than any other league or most leagues in the country.
Is that a struggle in your guys' mind? You've talked about the raising standards on offense and having 5 guys who can shoot. When you raise the standards on offense, it's kind of hard to keep the standards of defense that high. Has that been a challenge for you guys?
I think if guys want to play and get on the floor, they understand how important defense is. In our mind, they know. It is different because the rules have changed. There's not as many chucks and bumps and grabs as there was 15 years ago when guys crossed the lane. And I think the space that you have to defend now, because of the spacing of offenses, the pace of offenses, the ability to put shooters at all 5 spots, is, you won't see that with every team, but that creates more space. So now you're defending more in space and get yourself in one-on-one. So you're disciplined to your gaps and your help, and really making sure off the ball you stay true to your principles is probably even more important, because you have to guard a larger surface area, so to speak, with how offenses are trying to stretch you out. And we try to do the same thing offensively, is really stretch a defense and then take advantage of where the crack in the wall may be.
Thank you, Greg.
All good? All right.
Thank you.